Hello everybody, today we are under the SWAM program of module waste disposal. Waste disposal, myself Professor Rajesh Dhankar, Department of Environmental Sciences, MDU Rohtak. Waste disposal actually includes 3 R's: recycling, plastic waste and permaculture. So waste is any unwanted and discarded material produced by us in the form of solid, liquid and gas. It is known as waste, but in true form there is no waste, because waste for one organism becomes nutrients for the other, particularly in reference to solid and the hazardous waste. But the waste, according to UNSD, United Nations Statistics Division, wastes are material that are not the prime products, rather they are the products produced for the market, for which the generator has no further use in terms of her own purposes of production, transformation or consumption, and of which he or she wants to dispose. Waste may be generated during the extraction of raw materials, the processing of raw materials into intermediate and final products, the consumption of final products and other human activities. Residuals recycled or reused at the place of generation are excluded. Separation of waste can be done by 2 kinds. Number 1 is the organic garbage and another is the inorganic garbage. Organic garbage includes the biodegradable materials like the wood, crop, residues, etc. They are very much biodegradable in nature, but non-organic they are the non-biodegradable materials, and they includes metal, paints, plastic, glass, insecticides, solvents, aerosol containers, etc. Segregation of waste can be done by 2 methods. One is biodegradable, another is non-biodegradable. It mainly involves the biodegradable waste, kitchen waste, garden waste, and it can be degraded by means of 2 technology, that is compositing and vermicompositing. Another one is the non-biodegradable, which mainly divided into 3 parts: recyclable, toxic and infected. Recyclable mainly involves the plastic, paper, metals and glasses. They can be recycled very easily, but others they are very toxic in nature. The toxicity mainly found in the paints, bulbs, batteries, medicines, spray cans, fertilizers, pesticides. Whereas the third category involves the infected one. For example, these are the soil, needles, syringes stained with blood. They are the infected, so they cannot be biodegradable, they only can be recycled or they can be disposed of. We have a very nice waste segregation chart, in which we segregate the waste in a very fine manner and under different categories. Number 1 is wet waste, dry waste, sanitary waste, garden waste, hazardous waste, rubbish waste and e-waste. These all waste cannot be recycled, only few of them can be recycled. Preference will be given to the wet waste and the garden waste. These can be recycled, whereas the others they cannot be recycled. They can go either for incineration or some other kind of the technology. So this chart shows the about different kinds of the waste which involve under different categories like wet, dry, sanitary, garden, hazardous, debris and e-waste. Classification of the waste can be done on 2 bases. One is solid waste and another is liquid waste. Solid waste mainly includes the garbage, rubbish from houses and other places, whereas the liquid waste that can be converted into liquid waste for the disposal, because it cannot be disposed without in the sewage etc. So we have to convert the solid waste into the liquid. Example may be taken from the homes, industries and institutions. These are the main waste which can be converted into the liquid from the solid. Now what is the role of the individual? What we can do for waste recycling? One should reduce the creating waste and always use ceramic plates and proper towels in your homes. Don't go for non-recyclable waste. Use your own shopping bag made up of the clothes. Use your old post package box to send the parcels. Reuse the things or the materials which are being recycled. Join any environmental society for creation of the awareness. These are the few programs for the waste recycling which one must concentrate on these parameters. Besides this individual awareness, we must go for the solutions also. We have many solutions to waste which can be approached by following means. Waste management is the main important you can say, solution by which we can reduce the waste. It mainly involves mixing of the waste together and then transfer to the required place. Second is the waste reduction. We must go for the low and less kind of the waste. Third is the recycling of the waste, and that can be done by means of permaculture, organic farming, reduction of plastic waste. These are included under the waste reduction or the waste recycling. Waste management. Waste management can be done by means of, first we must go for the analysis of the waste, then go for the collection of the waste. After collection, the waste may be transported, and after transportation of the waste, it must be sent to either some industry for the recovery, and after recovery the waste can be recycled or disposed of, and again it can be used for analysis. In this way, waste management can be done by following processes: analysis, collection, transportation, recovery and recycling. So, we must emphasize on this. And the second part, the hierarchy involves the most preferable hierarchy for the waste management is to avoid the waste, and least preferable mainly involves the disposal. So, we must prefer on the avoid for the waste, and the least one is the disposal or the treatment. Waste recycling mainly involves the reprocessing of the waste material which is generated either from the homes or from the offices. They are mainly of 5 types: paper, steel, plastic, aluminium and glass. These above waste, they are processed mainly by 2 methods. One is primary and another is secondary. Now, what is primary recycling? Primary recycling is a kind of the recycling where you can convert the waste material into the new products, like conversion of the aluminium cans into the new aluminium cans. Secondary recycling mainly involves the conversion into different products. For example, newspaper can be converted into cellulose insulation. How it is important? The importance is according to, for example, when we purchase any material, then we must look at the material that will show different kinds of the symbols. These are the 2 symbols mainly. One is of recycled content, means the material is already recycled. So, we must shop or purchase such kind of the material which is recycled, because it will minimize the waste recycling. And second symbol shows the recyclable content. So, you must shop such kind of the material which can be recyclable, and you must concentrate on these 2 symbols because they will denote that the material which you are going to shop is recycled and the recyclable. So, these are the important symbol. We must emphasize on this for waste recycling. When we talk of priorities, then we have different priorities for waste recycling. There are 3 kinds of the priorities. Number 1 is primary priority, second is secondary priority, and third is the tertiary priority. The primary priority is very basic one, and secondary and waste, they are more important because the secondary priority that mainly concentrate on the prevention, whereas the tertiary priority that involves the management. So, first is the, we will do one by one. First is the primary priority. What includes the primary priority? Mainly it includes the prevention, use of less harmful products, reduction of packaging, manufactured products must be recycled and easy to repair. So, these all parameters, they include the primary recycling priority. Second is the secondary priority. It includes the various options for prevention of waste generation. Some of these methods are repair, recycle, reuse. It means we must emphasize on 3 R's: repair, recycle and reuse. Compost is another kind of the priorities which we must consider, and that comes under the secondary priority. Third is the tertiary priority. It mainly includes the various options for management of generated waste. Some of these methods mainly involves are the reduced toxicity, bury the waste in landfills and incineration of the waste. Release waste for after treatment or dilution into the respective agricultural fields. Activities one must be performed for the waste recycling mainly involves some of the activities which can be performed or which we can do at the homes. For example, we can take an example of plastic jars which can be used as in piggy tanks, pen holders. Cartoons can be used for storing things, otherwise we will throw all these things. We must not throw, we must recycle, we must reuse. We can use the toothbrushes that can be used spray painting papers. Papers, they can be used for waste papers they can, and old paper, newspapers, they can be used for the household purposes. They can be recycled or they can be used in artwork. Old clothes can be used for shopping bags, mats, etc. So everything can be reused. We must concentrate on 3 R's: recycle, reuse, rethink. So when we talk of waste recycling, so first step which we must prefer, that is the collection of the waste from the homes, industries, etc. So during the collection we must divide it into 2 forms. One is the bio waste collection, another is the plastic and packing waste collection. When you talk of your bio waste collection, then sorting should be done. There is a very small amount of the sorting is required, otherwise it is not applicable, because whole of the waste can be go for the organic recycling. When you go for the organic recycling, then there is the production of the biogas, which can be used as a fuel purpose and for the industries. So this is a very valuable energy which can be used, and the residues which are produced after the biogas, that can be utilized as a compost in the soil. This will enhance the health of the soil also. So in this way we are getting 2 kinds of the end product from the waste: compost and the biogas energy, which are the very valuable things in our day-to-day life. Second is the plastic and packaging waste collection. Sorting must be done for getting the homogeneous fractions, then processing must be done. During the processing, melting and granulation will be performed, and these recycled plastics, they are different in forms, and these recycled plastic, they can be used in different kinds of the activities of the day-to-day life. After waste recycling processes, we must emphasize on the 4 R's. Up to today's we are emphasizing on 3 R's, but now we are emphasizing on the 3 R's. Now what are these 4 R's? 4 R's are the reuse, recycle, reduce, recover. These are the 4 R's on which we must emphasize during the waste recycling. So first we will go for the reuse. What reuse includes? It involves the reusing the containers of the glass, plastic and metals. For example, bulk cartons and plastic containers can be used for storage of small items, left out food. Second R is the recycle. It means to make something into something new. Something can be created new. Recycling helps to use old products by making them into new ones. For example, plastic crates of the fruits, they can be used as the seed beds. So it is a very wonderful example of the recycling. Recycling materials. Now what are the recycling material? Recycling material mainly includes 3 kind of the material: metals, paper and plastic. Under metals we have the different kinds of the bottles, containers, different kinds of the containers used in the homes, industries, and aluminium cans. So everything which is covered under metal, either cartoon or bottles, whatever it is, it will be under metal. Paper includes various kinds of the paper, books, your holders, dustbins, cartoons, your paper tissues, everything it comes under the metals. Third is the reduce. Reduce involves method which has to avoid excessive use of any material of non-biodegradable substances. We can take a very good example. In the earlier days, materials are packed in wrappers of banana leaves, people leaves, wooden boxes, palm fibers and basket of the cans. So fourth one is the recover. Fourth method of recycling is the recover. It mainly includes various methods by which we can extract something useful from the waste product. It involves using waste material as a fuel to heat chimney or for cooking. We can recover various metals from the waste appliances. We have the importance and benefits of waste recycling, which protects the environment. Now what are those? Number 1, recyclable waste material would have been burned or filled in the landfill, which creates soil, air and water pollution. So we must avoid all these things. Conserve the natural resources. Second is the conserve natural resources. Recycling saves the use of trash material, fresh material, new material which is already used in a heavy amount. So second is we must conserve for the natural resources. Third is the to save energy. Recycling save more energy because more energy is required to produce new items with raw material than from recycling of the old materials. Recycling and compositing more than 85 million tons of the municipal solid waste saved approximately 1.3 quadrillion bituminous of the energy, which is equivalent to more than 229 million barrels of the oil. So huge amount of the energy is being used for the conversion or for recycling. So we must avoid all these things. It also creates the employability. How it will create the? Because the people are employed to collect, separate the recycling of the material, and there are number of jobs in the municipality, hospital and other industries. Next effect is on the environment, which is very important. What are the environmental effects on the waste recycling? The first very important and very need of the hour is the land contamination. The solid waste contains the hazardous chemicals which enter into the soil and again taken up by the plants and thereby consumed by the human beings and animals, causes impact on the health. The second important parameter which is responsible for the environment is the water contamination. In this, the waste enters into the water through the rivers, groundwater, and it will in turn cause the impact on the health. Fourth one is the air pollution. It is very important because waste recycling always leads to air pollution and causes the ill impact on the health. Last one is the leachate. In this, what happens? The liquid waste enters into the soil and leads to the formation of leachate, which is a harmful mixture of chemicals and result into the contamination of water and soil. After the environmental effects, we have economic effects of the waste recycling also. Now, the most important economic effect of the waste recycling is the revenue. Recycling provides us revenues to the municipal committee and the job opportunities and business to the people. Municipal well-being is another economic effect because it will clean the cities and attract the tourists, good people, investors, and such cities have a good living standards, and it will improve the ambience of the city. We can have the example of Chandigarh and Bangalore in India. Permaculture. It is another process of biodegradable waste recycling. It is an approach to design human settlement and agriculture system that are modeled on the relationship found in natural ecologies. Mainly the two Australian, David Holmgren and Bill Mollison, they are the two scientists who developed this idea in 1970 to create the permaculture organic agriculture system. This idea was built as a result of rapidly growing use of chemicals, pesticides, eutrophication happened to take place, destructive industrial and agriculture methods takes place. These methods were involved in poisoning land and reducing biodiversity. Then these two Australian scientists, they design an approach or the methodology that is named as in permaculture in 1978 for the organic farming. Now, what are the characteristics features of the permaculture? The characteristic features of the permaculture is that it is the most holistic integrated organic farming system. It is a kind of permanent agriculture. It promotes the organic agriculture without the use of any chemicals, and it maximizes the symbiotic and synergistic relationship. It also emphasizes on both urban as well as rural land design for cultural specific, site specific and client specific. It also includes the interaction between organism and surroundings. It is not limited to plants and animal agriculture, rather it also involves the community, which is community development and planning by utilizing the technologies like renewable energy resources, which involves the solar energy, hydro energy and the wind power. It is the integrated water resource management which develops sustainable, regenerative and self-maintained habitat. Now, permaculture has some principles. This kind of the methodology or the culture is having certain principles. It mainly based upon the actions are powerful forces to help the environmental mistakes of the previous centuries. Relative locations, multiple functions, multiple elements, energy efficient planning using biological resources, energy recycling, small scale intensive, accelerating succession, diversity, edge awareness, attitudinal principles, creative use and respond to change. So, these are the 12 principles of the permaculture. We must emphasize on these principles to create the organic farming. Besides this permaculture have developed a Chibuba project in the Africa. Now, this is the most successful project regarding the food security in Africa. It is a story of permaculture project for the last 20 years in Zimbabwe. The Chibuba is a village of the 7,000 people in Zimbabwe, where the people suffered from hunger and malnutrition and various diseases also. The villagers turned its fortune by using permaculture organic farming techniques. Villagers, they built their strength by initiating permaculture training, women empowerment, education, and resolved their conflicts at their own. Now they have a surplus food and villagers are free of diseases and proud of their achievements. These landscapes have been converted into lush green paradise. It is the largest site in the world where the permaculture strategies are implemented and is contiguous in nature. We have various examples of the permaculture besides this Chibuba project. The very good another example is the mulberry tree. How it is a very good example of a project? Because it provides us shade, forage, food, and it is a very good nutrient absorber. It protects the soil. It is the soil builder actually. So, it is a good example of permaculture. Another example is the reconstructed wasteland. Ditch and mound, they increase the water availability, land and increase in productivity. Third example of this is the 20 million victory gardens were producing 41% of the vegetables being consumed in USA. Another example, a house with 2 cars, dogs and a lawn uses more resources and energy than a village of 2,000 people. So, these are the few examples of the permaculture techniques which help in reducing the waste, and it is very much emphasized on the agriculture system. The third and very important waste recycling parameter is the use of plastic in a reduced form. So, reduction of plastic use is mainly emphasized for the waste recycling. Now, what is plastic? Plastic are the macromolecules, they are formed by the polymerization. Plastics are the polymers which mainly of high molecular weight and may be comprised of different substances to enhance the performance and decrease the cost. The term plastic mainly involves the carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, chlorine and sulfur. It is one of the most advanced chemical product which can lead to problems in our environment. The examples of the plastics are various and huge. Number 1 is the polyethylene, polystyrene, polyvinyl chloride, which are used in the manufacturing of the plastic and the products in many numbers like stationery, buckets, toys, sanitary wares, fittings, sheets, furniture, coatings and bags, etc. Report indicates that the production of these plastic per capita per day will be increased to 0.7 kg by 2050, which is very huge in amount. Now, how these plastic can be classified? The plastic can be classified on the basis of the chemicals which are involved for the manufacturing. So, first is the PET, polyethylene terephthalate, soft drink bottles. These are the example of PET. Now, PP, polypropylene, its examples are medicine, packing films. Third is the PHDDE, high density polyethylene. Its examples are detergents, bottles, motor oil bottles. Fourth one is the PVC, polyvinyl chloride. Its examples are electrical boxes, cables, etc. Next is LDRE, low density polyethylene. Its example are tubing, plastic bags. Next is PS, polystyrene. Its example are foam packing and others. The other plastic are the thermostat plastics in nylon, etc. They are the example of other plastic. So, we have to reduce the plastic. So, what we have to take into consideration, that is the reduction at the source. It mainly refers to a decline in the quantity of material that can be used in any type of applications. Simplest ways to simplify source reductions, they mainly involve the use fewer products which cause waste, choose size and types of products whereby waste is minimized. To minimize the need of material that of the product, for example, amount of packing material in 1 liter drink is 40% less than the material in 0.5 liter drink bottle. Another is to decrease the material thickness when used in the application. For example, trash bag made of polyethylene are having thickness of 0.08 mm. So, and the trash bag made of LDP are having a thickness of 0.05 mm. Trash bag made up of LLDPE are having a stronger thickness of 0.025 mm. Trash bag made up of HDPE are having a thickness of 0.01 mm are available nowadays. So, it mainly includes or it refers to the materials refabrication and reprocessing by the consumers. Another is the post consumer recycle. It is a PCR, it is known as regrind. It is different from the recycling of the scrap from manufacturing the processes. Another, we must earlier in the waste recycling we are concentrating more on 4 R's, but in case of plastic we must emphasize on 5 R's. Now what are these 5 R's? Number 1 is the reduce. We must reduce the or limit the utilization of the materials that are made up of plastic. Second is recycle, put all the plastic material into the recyclable bin. Third is the reuse. Attempts are made to find different ways to make the plastic reusable bins. Fourth is refuse, not to purchase plastic material. We must emphasize on this. And fifth, on very important, rebuy. Try to rebuy the recycled material to reduce the plastic waste. Next important strategies for reducing is the steps for the recycling the plastics. So, there are various steps for the recycling. First one we must follow is the selection. We must select the plastic waste as per recycling. Second is the segregation. It involves the segregation and it must be as per BIS guidelines. Third is the processing. After segregation, the plastic must undergo for the processing, which involves the washing, shredding, agglomerating and granulating. Fourth one is the landfilling. It is a conventional approach, but space for landfills is becoming a concern. Fifth one is incineration. It reduces the need for landfill for plastic waste. In this process, hazardous waste are of major concern, which is produced during the incineration. Now, what are the activities for the plastic waste reduction? Number 1, very important activity which we must follow, that awareness programs must be conducted among families, friends and in the groups. Arrange activities in the society regarding waste reductions. Third important activity is the give tips to reduce plastic waste at institutions, etc. Implementation of laws and rules framed by the government must be emphasized. Now, what are the disadvantages? The disadvantages mainly includes the pollution at the beaches and oceans. Plastic bags litter landscapes and kill animals by consuming them. Plastic material is non-biodegradable in nature and once it is generated, then it is always harms the environment and it also causes effect during recycling. Burying and landfilling. During manufacturing, various gases are also produced. Burning of plastic produce carbon monoxide, chlorine, amines, strier, benzene, acetaldehyde. Littered plastic provides unambiguous look, which is very important. It causes hormone disruption and cancer. Non-recyclable plastic waste causes disposal problem. Recycling of the plastic that can be done by 2 methods. One is the turning non-recycled plastics into energy and another is the recycling used plastics. So, first we will go for turning non-recycled plastic into energy. The first step which is to be followed, that once done with the plastic, you take the material and the material which is not recycled, that should be placed in one garbage and pick up that garbage into the non-recyclable material are packed up and transported to the energy recovery facility. Then the material was converted into energy and which is the non-recycled material that can be used for generating the electricity in the other conversion plants, and recycled material are used to generate the fuels like oil, diesel, etc. or chemical, and this electricity which is generated from the plastic, non-recycled plastic, can be transmitted through the grid to power homes and businesses. So, in this way how the non-recycled plastic can be converted into energy. Second is the recycling used plastic that can be taken up into another bin and transferred or transported by means of the buses or whatever it is, the vehicle which is required to transport, and it should be placed in the recycling bin for pickup. This plastic are then taken to the recovery facility and separated, and the materials, the plastics are cleaned, ground and reprocessed into the recycled pellets. These recycled plastics can be made into new products such as t-shirts, furnitures, new bottles and bags and many more. So, in this way this recyclable plastic can be used in the another different kinds of the forms. So, by following the strategies of the waste recycling like waste management, your permaculture and plastic at reduction, we can at a very higher level we can control the waste recycling. So, thank you for listening me and be patient.